You know, we've been doing this now, this is, you know, so 14 years. We've been working on this idea of how do you save teachers clerical time, those clerical duties that they have to do, and have them spend more time in effective planning and more time in being able to use the resources that the district has available. We have lots of resources, like most districts, and I've always felt like we are not very effective as an administration in terms of getting out what we really genuinely have. You know, I mean, I get so tired of hearing teachers say, "Oh, I just didn't have this that year, and I didn't have this," and I was like, "Well, did you ask anybody?" And also, well, even more so than painful, the most beneficial. You know, planning is instruction. So when we first started this in the 90s, in '98, we developed this FileMaker lesson plan template that had attendance and all this other stuff on it, and you know, the superintendent required all of our staff to do it, and it was just it was a failure. It was a big ordeal. I calculated out once how long teachers spent just taking attendance using that plan, and it came out to about a week a year. That's a lot of wasted time, and that was not good. And that was the point at which it died its terrible death. And you know, the idea sort of remained in my head, and so we waited a year or so, and then we moved on into the next phase of the same idea. But we approached it from a very different point of view. One, it wasn't compulsory. And what I told the developers, I want to have a program that you develop that teachers choose to use of their own accord. And so what we did was we developed a framework. Here's what a lesson plan has to have. It's got to have your curricular objective. And we are very specific and intentional in that language, because we're not talking about your learning goal. We're talking about the curricular objective that you as a teacher in our district are required to teach. So we have a curricular objective, we have your learning strategies, how are you going to teach that objective, and how are you going to evaluate it. So within that framework, we set up a couple of different ways that a teacher could comply with that requirement and be happy. Teachers could do it, and if they wanted to. If they wanted to write it out, that was fine. But it had to have those elements. But our FileMaker lesson plan template, that it was called, had those elements in a click pull-down menu, and we could copy from one day to the next, from 1 week to the next. And so a teacher that was doing a thematic unit, for example, where there was subtle changes in the lesson plan over the course of some time, could meet all those requirements in very short order. And we probably had 50% of the teachers in the district use it daily. We had a few teachers, and no surprise, it was typically our older teachers, who would never use it. They wouldn't do it, which was fine. And so we did that for a number of years, and we found that the new teachers coming in used it, and it was successful. It was limited. FileMaker has limitations. And then we were kind of, by accident, I got a cold sales call from this gal in Montana, and I just never take cold sales calls. And it was a great pitch. It was good. And so I said, well, send me your stuff. And I looked at it, and when she sent it to me, I looked at it and I was like, this is what we're doing, except it's where we wanted to go because it's online. I can go through teachers it's incredibly quick how quickly you can go through you know, the whole school.